Welcome to Purpose, Presence, and People, where we talk about leadership and how it actually works and not how it shows up on paper. I'm Antrea, your host, and today we're talking about something every leader thinks that they have, but their teams don't actually feel. It's called presence. Because leadership doesn't fail in the big moments. It fails in the small ones when people don't feel heard, valued, or seen. And what social science and engagement data continues to show us, it says this: when leadership presence is inconsistent, engagement drops first. Then outcomes follow, and slowly in the background, you're putting retention at risk. This episode isn't about charisma or confidence. It's about the invisible signals that we send as leaders every day and how those signals shape the performance of our team and whether people stay with us or not. And if you lead people, if you want to lead people, this conversation is for you. Now, let's go ahead and dive in to the power of presence.
I'm Antrea, leadership strategist, speaker, and former director of patient experience with a foundation in leadership and organizational development. I've spent my career helping leaders show up with presence, communicate with intention, and drive results through people, not pressure. This podcast is about leadership that's practical, human, and impactful. Let's begin.
Let me ask you something, and I want you to actually think about it, not just answer politely. Have you ever walked into a meeting, a huddle, or a one-on-one and said all the right things, and then walked out and felt that didn't quite land? I mean, the conversation happened, right? The message was clear, but later on, you noticed the behavior didn't change. That's not a communication problem that you're feeling. That's not a motivation issue. That is what we call a presence gap. Now, before anyone panics, I'm also talking about myself, okay? If leadership was graded, I would have earned a couple of solid C's over the years to get to this point, okay? In leadership development, we know this, that when presence is inconsistent, engagement drops first, outcomes follow, and retention quietly is put at risk in the background. Now, this is where I want you to stay with me, okay? I want you thinking, not just listening to me. One of the biggest myths in leadership is that people disengage because they don't care. Well, that's rarely the issue. People disengage when they stop feeling seen, heard, or valued. Why do I come to work every day if you don't care? Right? Think about your team for a moment. Who on your team has gotten just a little bit quieter over the past few months? You see, engagement doesn't disappear during those big moments. It erodes during everyday little ones. People don't announce their disengagement. Now, there's no calendar invite that says, just a heads up, emailing you to let you know I've disengaged, I've emotionally checked out. People don't disengage loudly. They disengage quietly. It's like that resignation letter that came out of the blue. Presence, how you show up in those small moments, is the currency of employee engagement. So if we look at this through a social science lens, it makes sense, right? Humans are wired to scan the area for cues of attention, safety, and belonging. Long before an employee thinks about leadership logically, their nervous system has already asking one very, very important question. Is it safe and worthwhile to invest here? Notice what just happened in your body when I said that? A little shift. And this also explains why people tense up when a leader says, "Can I grab you just for a moment?" I don't think anyone ever has believed that statement that it's going to be just a moment, or that their leader is grabbing them to tell them how amazing they are, right? However, your presence answers that nervous system question immediately. This is why you have two leaders that can say the same exact thing, but only one leader will have engagement from his team. In leadership development, we say insight without application does not change behavior. So instead of just talking about it, right, I want to be about it. I want to teach it to you. And so presence is not a personality trait. It's a set of observable and actionable and learnable behaviors. And that is where leaders begin winning back their engagement. I want to give you a simple framework that I use in some of the leadership workshops that I teach. It's called the presence model, because presence isn't a feeling, it's a practice. And practice makes permanence, okay? I want to give you the full model, and then I'm going to slow down and take a couple of them and really dig into them. Because leadership, we don't change behavior by memorizing a model, right? We change behavior by practicing one or two of those skills very well. And so you don't need to use all 8 of them at one time, but what you do need is awareness. And so let's take a look at the word presence. P is for pause, R, regulate, E, engage intentionally, S, signal value, E, evaluate impact, N, notice patterns, C, correct in real time, and E, embed. This is how leaders turn awareness into engagement. Now, as promised, let's go ahead and break a few of those down. We're going to start with the P. P stands for pause, about 45 seconds. Pause is creating space for you to speak. Most leadership mistakes are not made because they don't care. They're made because leaders react too quickly. Now, quick honesty check. Most of us skip the pause and go straight to react, right? I know. It's because we've seen this before, so we go, oh, I know what to do. I know how to respond in this. But that's not leadership. That's muscle memory. R is regulate. Check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? Regulation is about emotional carryover. If you don't regulate your emotions, your team will regulate around you. And so people don't hear your words. They feel your energy. Therefore, they match energy. So that stress that you think you're hiding inside, no, it's not staying there. It's actually traveling out into the room around you. S is the signal. Signal values is the fastest way to increase engagement. People decide either to engage based on the signals you send within the first 30 seconds, also known as the hazardous half minute, right? It's your eye contact. It's your smile. It's, are you interrupting? Are you saying someone's name, right? People don't need more praise. They need more presence. Use the rest of the model to build upon that foundation by evaluating the impact, noticing the patterns, correcting behavior in real time, and embedding this into your everyday life. That's how presence becomes culture. And that's the work that I dig a little bit deeper into in my leadership workshops. However, I want you to do something with me right now. Just think about the last interaction that you've had with your team. Did you pause or rush in? Did you regulate or just go through the motions? Did you intentionally engage or just get through it? Reflection alone is leadership development. Now, if that reflection felt a little uncomfortable, that's okay. Leadership is uncomfortable. I need you to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Awareness is the very first skill that we build in leadership development. Now, on the other hand, if you found that to be very easy, maybe you weren't 100% honest with yourself. Because leadership is not what you intend, it's what people experienced. And so when leaders consistently practice presence, guess what? Engagement increases. Not because people are motivated. Contrary to popular belief, you cannot motivate people. But it's because they feel valued, they feel heard, they feel seen. Engaged employees don't just work harder, they work differently. They speak up sooner. They solve problems early and they protect the outcomes of the business. This is where they move from being renters in your place of business to being homeowners. You've seen this before. Think about it. Think about that one person on your team who always catches issues early. That's an engaged employee. And so that is why engagement is the bridge between leadership behavior and performance results. Most retention strategies fail because they start too late. You can't begin the engagement process once you begin to get resignation letters, right? And so by the time someone actually gives you that letter, engagement has already been lost. In fact, social science shows us that emotional disengagement shows up months before you get that letter. And disengagement often occurs when leaders unintentionally stop being present. Presence creates belonging. When I feel like I belong, I can show up my true, authentic self. That belonging is going to drive retention because it's going to make me want to stay. People don't leave first. They detach first. Now, I want to share something with you because this isn't just an episode and I'm just not speaking into the camera. This was a lesson that I learned early in my leadership journey. You see, I was very, very focused on purpose. I cared deeply about the outcomes. I cared about excellence. I strive for excellence in everything that I do. And I cared about doing meaningful work. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but there was something very, very critical that I didn't quite understand yet. Purpose without presence doesn't land. And so I was very clear on my why, but I was inconsistent on my how. I was doing everything right on paper. Leader, if you look at me on paper, I was the perfect leader. I was responsive. I was moving fast. I was getting results. However, I couldn't understand why some of the people that I cared the most about began to pull away from me. You see, I was efficient, but not present. And someone said to me that I respected very much. In a very calm voice, she said, "You're helpful. You're very calm, but you don't always seem available." That hit me hard because I thought I was doing the exact opposite. And so in that moment, I decided to make a change. It helped me realize something that now anchors my entire leadership philosophy. You see, leadership isn't just about purpose. I mean, don't get me wrong, purpose gives you direction, but presence gives people permission. And leadership ultimately lives or dies with the people that we lead, how they experience us, not how we intend to lead. And so that's why my leadership philosophy is very, very simple. 3 principles: purpose, presence, and people. Because presence is the bridge between purpose and people. Without it, even the most well-intentioned leader will lose engagement of his or her team. With it, it builds trust, outcomes improve, and people stay. That realization is what drove me deeper into leadership development. Not just to teach the skills, even though I do love teaching, but to help leaders understand how they are experienced by their team. Help them understand the shadow that they were casting. And no, it didn't change overnight. I wish it did, but believe me when I say personal growth is a lot slower than Amazon Prime. And so I want to give you something that you can use today, soon as this episode is over. It's called the 90-second rest. Before your next meeting, huddle, or one-on-one, I want you to pause for just 10 seconds. Take a deep breath and ask yourself 3 questions. What does this person need from me right now? What signal do I want to send? What outcome am I trying to influence? Yes, this takes time, but less time than you scrolling on your phone in the parking lot. This isn't soft leadership. This is intentional leadership. And this is how leaders practice presence under pressure. So culture isn't shaped by big speeches. It's shaped by micro moments. 5 minutes of real presence will outperform an hour of distracted leadership every single time. Our interaction is an event. Patterns becomes the culture. If engagement is low, look at presence first. If outcomes are slipping, check your engagement. And if retention is at risk, trace it all the way back to the beginning. Because presence isn't optional. It is a foundational leadership skill. Leadership presence isn't about doing more. It's about showing up differently. Because when leaders show up differently, engagement increases. And when engagement increases, outcomes improve. And when people are connected, retention actually becomes possible. Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't a theory. It's how human behavior works. In the next episode, we're going to talk about that skill that proves presence is a real thing. It's called listening. I don't mean the polite listening. I mean the kind that changes people and results. If this episode challenged the way you think about leadership, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you are ready to build engagement that actually lasts, this is just the beginning. Stay tuned for more.
Leadership lives in the moments that matter most, how you listen, respond, and lead under pressure. Take one idea from today and put it into practice. Thank you for listening, and remember, lead with intention, and I'll see you next time.